Okay, so we are going to solve rational equations, and what we're going to do is when you have a fraction equal another fraction, we're going to use what you did back in pre-algebra. You don't have to write this part down, but if you had something like x over 2 equals 8 over 9, let's say, you would cross multiply. 9 times x is 9x, 8 times 2 is 16, divide both sides by 9, and you're done. Okay, that's the same concept we're going to use. There's more than one way to do it, but this is the easiest, so we don't use method 2 on this part. So we are going to cross multiply. So we're going to start this way first, and we do 7 times x is 7x. Then equals. Whenever you have more than one term here, you put parentheses, okay? Because when we multiply that by 4, we're going to have to distribute. So we put 4 and then x minus 6. And so now we solve it like a regular equation. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And now we're going to subtract 4x to both sides. 3x equals negative 24. Divide both sides by 3. X equals negative 8. The only thing is when you're solving rational equations is you got to check to make sure your solution isn't extraneous. And what that means is whenever you have a fraction, there's one number you cannot have in the denominator, which is what? 0. So let's say my answer here was 6. If I was to plug 6 here, 6 minus 6, and it gives me 0, then that's not a good solution. I could not use that as a solution. Now, since we're doing these proportions, we are going to check, but they typically don't happen with these types of problems. It's the problems on the next page. All right. Let's go ahead and try another one. Let's look at number 2. So this one, if we plugged in negative 8 minus 6 is negative 14. That's okay. Negative 8 there in denominator, it's okay. So we're good. Now the next one here, remember, if it's more than one term, use parentheses, just so it reminds you to distribute. So we're going to go 3 times this is 2a plus 1. And then we're going to go this way. Equals 7 times a minus 8. You can only cross multiply when you have an equal sign. Okay? So you only cross multiply when you have an equal sign. If I had a plus or minus there, you could not do that. Then you would need a common denominator and so forth. Okay? So let's go ahead and distribute. We have 6a plus 3 equals 7a minus 56. So let's go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. And then subtract our 7a. We get negative 1a equals negative 59. And if we divide both sides by negative 1, a is going to equal a positive 59. We're just going to do 2 more examples, okay, and I think that'll be good. Looking at number 3, we're going to cross multiply. Again, I'm going to put parentheses around the r minus 1. And we're going to go r times r is r squared equals 4 times r minus 1. So r squared equals 4r minus 4 when I distribute. What type of equation is this? Quadratic. How do you solve quadratic equations? What did you say? Well, if we didn't have this, then we could square root both sides. But since we have an r here, what would we do? You could use quadratic formula, but you always want to factor first. So whenever it's quadratic, try to factor. And in order to factor, we need to move everything to the left side and set it equal to 0. So we subtract the 4r, and then we add that 4 equals 0. And then, if it's factorable, we factor it. Is this one factorable? Are there 2 numbers that give you 4 when you add give you 4? Yeah, 2 and 2. So if we were to factor this, we'd get r minus 2 and r minus 2. Now back before when we were solving this, we would put our answer here is 2. It repeats twice. We put 2 multiplicity 2. Now we're just solving rational equations. We don't have to do the multiplicity. So our answer is just 2. Now let's make sure it's not extraneous. So when you plug in 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 right there, we're good. Now you can plug it in the whole thing. So 2 on the top, 2 minus 1 is 1. Does it equal 4 over 2? 4 divided by 2 is 2, yes. All right, let's do number 6. So we're going to put this in parentheses and that in parentheses. We're going to multiply these two, and 2 times 3 is 6. And now when you have the two parentheses here, we need to distribute or FOIL or use your box method, whatever. We need to multiply. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 4 is 8x. This is negative 3x, and that's negative 12. So now let's simplify. So 2x squared, 8x minus 3x is plus 5x. Minus 12 equals 6. So now it's quadratic. I need to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract my 6 here, and I have 2x squared plus 5x minus 18 equals 0. So let's see if this is factorable. We take a times c, so 2 times 18 is 36. Are there two factors of 36 when we subtract that give us 5? 9 and what? 4. So I'm going to bring a positive. Positive times negative is a negative. We have plus 9 minus 4. So now we make our fractions. We have 2x over plus 9 and 2x over negative 4. This reduces to 1/2. So we have 2x plus 9 and x minus 2 equals 0. And if we set both of those equal to 0 and solve, this one equals, we would minus 9 divide 2, so negative 9/2. This one we'd add 2, a positive 2.